Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere there's going to be a live or recorded version of this show. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, The Art of Monty Anderson, and welcome to the broadcast. Refreshing. Hopefully, y'all are doing great out there. I know it's bright and early in the morning. Here on, what is today? I still haven't even changed my calendar, damn it. Today is the 4th, which I believe it is, what is it? Wednesday? No, Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. Damn. Time flies when you don't watch a calendar. All right. Hopefully, y'all are doing great out there. Welcome, Liz. Our favorite MP is here today. You ass. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's get that switched around. There we go. All right. Welcome to Broadcast Booth. All right. So, last time we discussed adventures. What kind of adventures you go on, seek, you like to do, all that good stuff. And this time, we're going to be talking about out of pocket. Because that's what's going to happen. Yes, adventures are great to have. 100%. And that's why we talked about them last time. But this time, not so much of the fun variety of adventures. I mean, I will be with my mother. She's 83 years old, and I'm going to be taking care of some things around her property to make life a little easier for her. It'll make life a little bit more of a pain for my brother, just because he won't be able to mow certain areas once I'm done. I'm going to be putting up a fence for her, and so she can just let her dog out. Because right now she's not in the greatest of health. She's about to have a pacemaker put in. She's got all kinds of issues. She has to walk with a walker, um, so she can't just free range, like my chickens. And it's like, what's going to make her life easier? Well, right now she has a lead, one of those retractable uh, dog leashes, and she's got a little, basically, terrier dog is the style that he is. Uh, I think he's a Pomeranian Terrier mix, maybe. And she walks him around the house, to do his business and all that good stuff. Well, there's a lot of times that she ends up falling, and takes her a few minutes to get up because she can't just spring back up like us young chickens can. So it takes her a hot minute, and unfortunately, since we have cameras installed around her perimeter, we can see when this happens, and there's nothing we can do about it because my brother is X amount of hours away. I'm X amount of hours away. We've been trying to get her to give up the place and move closer to one of us, you know. And at that point, we, we're trying to encourage her, not like, hey, you're going to do this, you know. And so, because we all want our independence, like I've talked about many a times. And so, what happens is that things don't go right. And she's had a lot of things happening where, you know, things are starting to fall apart at the house. Like a few months ago, her roof fell in. Not because of leaks or anything like that, but because they laid the sheetrock wrong on the ceiling. And when that happened, it's only being held by 3 points, the very edge and the middle. Well, I put the sheetrock back in correctly, remudded, retaped it, re-put insulation on, rehung her uh, vent, and all that good stuff. It's to make it right, to make it correct. And unfortunately, eventually the rest of it's going to fall in. It's just inevitable because of the way they put it. Like right now, there's a 2x4 on the ceiling holding up the next section back up against the wall because you could see it swaying, and there was a big, like, 3 or 4 inch gap right there. And it's like, why all of a sudden is everything starting to go wrong? You know? And it's like, no, none of that's going to happen. And it's just like, we are going to and so it's just like, why can't things ever just go right? Why can't things just be nice and easy with life? But that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be out of pocket for a hot minute because where she's at, there is no cell phone service per se. You get one bar at best, and that's on LTE. So that means my live shows go away for a short minute whenever that happens. Now, am I able to get updates out and things like that? Absolutely. And that's what will happen. So, I'll be helping her clean up some stuff around the property because she had a big tree fall on her roof as well. I'm going to be taking down a big tree that's been dead for a few months. More than that. You mean Dexter here? New blood? And so that's the unfortunate part. There won't be any lives for a few days while I'm there. And I'll try to do some recordings and things like that to show you guys what I'm up to and doing and all that stuff. Yeah, I know, Liz. It does suck because I miss you guys whenever I do end up going down there. I've tried going live from her place a couple of times, and it just doesn't work. If Casey and Roy were here, they'd tell you they've seen it firsthand. So it ain't pretty. Um, and like I said, I hate it for everybody because I do miss you guys the most, and because you guys are great. And Casey, if you're here, I might have your shirt this week. Um, I found a printer that was able to make some things happen. Now, like they told me, they're not sure. Liz, you're awesome. You're a great person. Don't don't ever get in here too much. Um, because once you get in there too much, that's when you start hurting yourself. And that's not cool. So just remember to be kind to yourself. Um, just because you are a great person, 100%. And you've got a lot of living and a lot of life to go. So just, I mean, I have to tell myself the same things because I can let my PTSD and all that good stuff, from the IED blast and many other things that happened while I was overseas in Afghanistan, get to me, some days. And then, of course, like I told everybody, and you've heard, from 2008, 2009, 2010, tragic loss pretty much every year at that time frame. My sister, my son, my grandpa, you know, and and that's not a stretch that puts ease on anybody, if you will. And it's not even a you know a thing I would even wish on my worst enemy, if you will. But today is Out of Pocket, but we're also going to be talking about pretty much every comic, movie, and TV show based on comics. Movies and TV shows based on comics. And that's going way back to when I was born, 1943 and 1941, and around that area. Because I'm 190 years old. Way back when. Yep, when those rotary phones. Actually, back in that day, you didn't even have the rotary phones. You had the switch phones. Yeah, I bet you don't even know what that is, Liz, do you? What's a switch phone? That's when you used to tap the receiver after you pick up the phone and get in touch with the operator. Right, we had carrier pterodactyls back in my day, and they were fun to wrestle, absolutely. And tablets, and not the tablets that we're talking about where you can type on. We had to chisel with a hammer and chisel into rock, uh, and then ship it off, you know, by way of carrier pterodactyls. So uh, we'll be nice, Liz. We'll be nice. But no, Liz, you are an awesome person, 100%. And don't listen to those jerks you work with and things like that either. Yes, absolutely. Yes, I was on the ark as well. Noah was my brother. All right. Um. So, Liz, what's been going on in your world? What's been going on in your world? Since you're the only one with a sense around here right now. Just working. You're at work right now. Oh, good. I was gonna say. I was gonna say if you're at work right now, we got some problems. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. I was like, what did you pull like a 12-hour shift or something? And you're still at work? You're gonna be super tired. All right. And what do you want me to say? Naruto. There you go. I said the N word for you. Naruto. All right. So Back in the day, as Liz likes to say, I'm always tired. Yeah, this sounds like my girlfriend. And before actual comic book movies and TV shows hit, they did what was called serials. And not the cereal that you eat and pour milk on and yada, yada, yada. Or even snack on as a snacky snack. In the theaters before your main movie, you would have what was called serials. And it would be a 15 to 20 minute small film, black and white, of course, of something like Superman, Batman, Lone Ranger, uh, Flash Gordon, the Phantom. There was a bunch of them. And so in 41, a few years after the comic book debuted in 1938, Superman came on the scene with his short films. And there was like, generally, there was anywhere between 13 to 20 episodes at the time. Yes, cereal is great, just like your grape nuts that you eat with all that sugar, or your frosted shredded wheats. I know that's what you love. Now I'm imagining yours probably has marshmallows in it. Superman, the Mad Scientist came out in 1941. They were 10-minute shorts, and well, like I said, 15 to 20-minute shorts. Fruity Pebbles. That's close. That's close. And then a few years later, you probably watched Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, Charlie Chaplin had some good shorts as well. Now they're forgetting some in here because I know there's some 30s as well, like 39 to 45 in there, but I'm not seeing them on here right this second. But I see that they've got them bounced around a little bit. I don't know why they've got them bounced around whenever they should have them in chronological order. But then you had Batman, Batman and Robin, and then in 52 to 58 came out. They've got them ranked in order, and I don't understand why because that's not how it should be. Should have been how they came out via the years. Adventures of Superman, starring George Reeves. Another tragic Hollywood ending with the Man of Steel. But that lasted for 6 years, 52 to 58, as a TV series, black and white, until they did some color. And then they did what was called Technicolor with those. And at that point in time, Technicolor was one of those amazing little things where it looked like it was painted on the film itself before they started developing color film for the shows, for the movies and TV shows. Yeah, I do not like their fucking order. Hold on, let me see here. I'm trying to see what all they've got. Okay, this is a little bit better. Okay, this one I like better. What was the first film ever made, if you can remember, from back in your day? Okay, that's a very slippery slope, if you will, because they used to have these viewers, basically, that were handheld, almost like a movie projector, but it would rotate these um, flat pictures in sequence. And so whenever you rolled that, it would create the image as it was. It's almost like drawing. I know you've all have seen this, where they draw little figures in the corner or whatever across the bottom, and then you do this little number, and the figure moves. Well, it's the same concept. Is where people got that from. So there was burlesque shows that were that way. Um, there was horse races that were done that way, where they took a horse and had it run right across there. And what happens next on those is that's when film started to take place. And so what happens next on that is that's when short films started coming out. And that's when the serials started coming out. But what was the first movie ever? It would have been a silent film, black and white, and it would have been in the 1900s. Actually, before then, right at the turn of the century, 1888, by French inventor Louis Le Prince in Leeds, England, capturing his family walking in a garden. It is recognized as the oldest surviving film on photographic paper, period. Yes, I am. But that was it. The Horse in Motion in 1878 actually came before that one. That's the one I was talking about, where they took those films, the pictures, the like little cards, and they put them in sequential order around this reel, kind of like, well, damn, you guys didn't even have that back in the day. Um, it was a projector that had the little, you take your little picture inside, and you could flip to each one, in school. Um, and so, but the Horse in Motion in 1878, and then the Great Train Robbery in 1903, those were some of the great films that survived back in the day. The whole process. So, 1878, The Walking Horse, or The Horse in Motion, and then 1888, Roundhay Garden Scene with the family, getting filmed. And then in 1903, the first short came out. It was the first narrative film with a plot. And what I mean by narrative film, they would incorporate these cells in there that had words on them. And then it would show the action, and then another cell with a picture with the words on it would show up. Just like in the Charlie Chaplins, if you remember those had it too, because they were silent films. So that's your very first films coming on, 1878 being the oldest surviving one, and that's the Horse in Motion. And then, of course, with people actually moving on film, 1888 is the oldest one on record so far. Nothing before that has been found yet. So I did, absolutely. I actually have a back catalog, you know, in the house of all of those black and whites from, the 1800s that I survived from. And I mean, the sun is not my friend. So, you know, if you know, you know. All right. So Get into the Marvel Universe, Liz, when it comes to comic movies and TV shows. You have Captain America 1944, the serial film. That was, right after all of the Batman and Superman films of the serials of that same time frame. There was 13 of those, volumes 1 and 2. Um, and then the Ultimates, volume 1, 1 through 13. So there you go on that note. So 1944 is when Marvel started rolling out their movies. Now, I still feel like there's a lot that they're missing, but I could be wrong myself without doing a comprehensive list and checking myself. But the next one is Howard the Duck, which came out in the 1980s. You still weren't born yet, Liz. And then The Punisher, 1989. I think Howard the Duck came out in '86. It was a fun film. It was great. Um, I still love it to this day. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But it's 1986, I believe. Howard the Duck. I'm just a baby. I know, 2006. We get it, Liz. We get it. Good morning, Roy. Welcome to the show. We're talking about TV and movies based off of comic books and being out of pocket, which you missed the first part. And The Punisher, 1989 theatrical film starring Dolph Lundgren, wasn't the greatest of movies when it came to action. I mean, the action was great, but it's Dolph Lundgren. Um, I mean, enough said there. He does good things in certain movies, but this one was not one of his finest moments. And I mean, I understand why they picked him because all the action movies that he was in, Rocky and other things. And then in 1990, Captain America, not the one you're thinking of, a totally different one. And then an unreleased Fantastic Four in 1994. That one was horrific. There was a lot of leaked footage on that one, and you can still find it on YouTube. Thing looked horrible. It was atrocious, to say the least. I would still love to see the full thing. Um, just because, being a comic book fan, you want to see unreleased footage like that. So, and it's like, why don't you just go ahead and release it? We know it's out there still. Just like the Shazam movie. Then you've got Blade, 1998. Still the longest running Blade character by Wesley Snipes for a vampire. V8 Energy, Peach Mango, the best flavor they've got. Air cheers there, buddy. I know you've got some in your fridge too. All right, then the X Men in 2000, Blade 2 in 2002, Spider Man in 2002, starting the Tobey Maguire series. Then you've got the atrocious Daredevil movie in 2003, starring Ben Affleck. He's not my favorite by any stretch of the imagination. X2 X Men United, The Hulk 2003, The Punisher 2004, Thomas Jane portrayed that one, and that one was good. I liked it. Thomas Jane did a great job as the Punisher, as Frank Castle, and it's just like I would have liked to have seen him do a few more on that note. Then Spider-Man 2, Blade Trinity. Of course, Ryan Reynolds in that one as well. Ryan Reynolds has a stint in a lot of comic book movies because he is a comic book fan. So Elektra, again, a movie that I wish they would have picked a different lead star for. But I understand the characters that they pulled to play these main characters were hot commodity at that time, meaning they were starring in movie after movie after movie. And, well, let's see if they'll do our movie. And obviously they agreed to it, which a lot of fans are like, why? Why did they agree to it? Because we didn't like them in any of this, you know. And Elektra was 2005. Man Thing 2005, a TV film, another great show. Fantastic Four 2005. The X-Men The Last Stand. Ghost Rider, starring you know who. Spider-Man 3. Thank you for the gifts out there. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. That helps us out. Let's see here where we at. Spider-Man 3, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. Iron Man comes out in 2008. Oh, you were 2 years old then, Liz. The Incredible Hulk, again, changing actors once again. And see, he did not have the Incredible Hulk TV show listed in here, which I am surprised about. He didn't have the Captain America TV show listed in here, and he didn't have the Spider-Man TV show listed in here. Yes, mini me. Um, so his list is not correct by any stretch of the imagination. Let's see here. So the Incredible Hulk in 2008, and then Punisher Warzone. Again, another tragic end for an actor portraying a comic book hero or anti-hero, if you will, because Punisher is not technically a hero. He just takes on the bad guys. And Punisher Warzone, I can't remember the actor's name right off the top of my head. He did pass away a few years ago. But it wasn't again the greatest of movies, but it was decent. You know, I'm not gonna say it was horrible, but it was getting close. But it was good. And so on that, it's like adjusting some things here. Bum, 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 bum. And it's like they could have picked other actors at the time. Thomas Jane could have played that role, for Warzone, and I would have been happy. Then you got X-Men Origins Wolverine comes out. Iron Man 2, 2010. Then Thor hits the theaters in 2011. X-Men First Class. Of course, we all know that they changed the cast of characters, going with a younger crew for that movie. And then Captain America: The First Avengers came out right there. And then Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. Some people didn't even know that movie existed, which it was a good movie. I liked it. Spirit of Vengeance in 2012. Then the Avengers came on scene. And then Amazing Spider-Man, of course. Iron Man 3. The Wolverine came on. Thor: The Dark World. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Of course, this is, the next actor after Tobey Maguire. X-Men Days of Future Past, Guardians of the Galaxy, Big Hero 6, based off of a Marvel anime uh, manga. The Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, fun film, Fantastic Four. Um, this one was the next installment therein, not starring, Jessica Alba, Michael Chiklis, all that crew. This was the next iteration with uh, Michael B. Jordan in there. Then you've got Deadpool 2016 comes on the scene with Ryan Reynolds, Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, and then Gambit, which was a theatrical film 2016. Doctor Strange. See, they didn't even have the Doctor Strange uh, one off back in the day. There's a lot that they didn't include, and if there was a Gambit film in 2016, never saw it. Then there was an untitled third Wolverine spinoff. See, they don't even have Mutant X on here. They don't have the New Mutants, which was on Netflix or Hulu. And they don't have any of the Okay, yeah, they do. We're getting into those, getting ready to go. Which Captain America had the red Incredible Hulk? That's one of the newer ones. We're getting into that. It'll be here in a minute. Let's see here. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Fantastic Four sequel, Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man reboot, 2017, Thor Ragnarok, The Avengers Infinity War Part 1, Black Panther, Untitled Fox Marvel movie, which they didn't give because they didn't go into comprehensiveness on it, Spider-Man the Animated Movie, Captain Marvel, The Avengers Infinity War Part 2, The Inhumans, decent film. Let's see. I'm going to guess that it was in the Avengers. Well, it would be Captain America, but I'm not sure which one. Cause it wasn't Winter Soldier. Bum, bum, bum. And it wasn't Civil War. I don't think they've got that one on here either. Where the Red Hulk showed up. You saw the movie. You should know. I know you slept since then. Let's see. The Inhumans, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was on Hulu. And then, of course, all of the spin-offs that started it off: Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and The Defenders. All great shows on Hulu. Or Netflix, not Hulu. They were all on Netflix. Iron Fist got a bad rap for that. Um, which it didn't need to. Because Iron Fist was cool. It was an awesome show, showed his beginnings, showed his struggles. Um, and why they didn't do a Luke Cage or Iron Fist and Luke Cage show, I don't know. Because they were always together in the comic books, fighting side by side outside of the Defenders, which had Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage all together in the same show. Which they could have just rolled over to uh, Luke Cage and Iron Fist movie or TV show as well. So I don't understand that. But there is a lot missing out of this person's list, out of those 68 films and TV shows that he's got listed. There's quite a few missing. Um, Give me a second, Roy. And that was Captain America Brave New World, which he does not have on that list either. So that makes me wonder when this list was compiled. Oh, no wonder he doesn't have his list continued rolling. That was 12 years ago when this list came out. So there's been a lot of movies that aren't on this list since that point in time. It is a good list. I wish to see it continued, from this creator here. Um, then we roll into the DC comic side. Now, when it comes to DC movies, they suck. Case in point, DC doesn't know how to make a good action movie. Yes, it absolutely proved you wrong. You thought, you know, poor Mr. Harrison Ford was going to suck, and being 120 years old, he still proved you wrong. Now, again, if you're a DC movie lover, I'm sorry. DC movies suck all the way around. They haven't made a really, really good one yet. They make decent ones with certain things, but when it comes to what Marvel produces, they don't even touch it. Like I said, they've got some good ones out there. Don't get me wrong. And again, his list is incorrect. He doesn't have the 1940 serials and the 1930 serials in here. He's got Batman the movie, which would have came out in 66 or 67, with the height of Adam West back there, not Ozzy, but over on this section over here, my autographed Adam West back there. The 1966 movie is where he starts, which is incorrect because there was the TV show, the 1966 Batman TV show. But before that, there was I think it was 38 or 39. No, it was 39. And then there was the 41 to 40 or 42, 45, and I think there was a 49 in there too, as far as the serial goes, with preempting, the regular TV series. Then you had the Superman serials, which he does not have here. He starts with Superman, Christopher Reeves, the first one, and then Superman 2, Swamp Thing, Superman 3, Supergirl, the original Supergirl, not whatever this was that they produced this time. Superman, The Quest for Peace, The Return of Swamp Thing, another Batman film, Batman Returns. Well, that would have been Batman 1989. He does not have years with his DC for whatever reason. Then Batman Returns in 92, Batman Forever in 94, I believe, or 96, Batman and Robin, and then Steel. That was a horrible film. Actually, Batman Forever wasn't that good. Batman and Robin wasn't that good. Steel was atrocious. Catwoman was okay with Halle Berry. Um, and if you know, you know on that note, just because of her outfits alone. Constantine, Hellblazer, Dangerous Habits. Not the one with Keanu Reeves. Batman Begins. Superman Returns, which it shouldn't have. I'm not a Superman fan, period. Never have been. And that seems to be everybody's go to superhero, Superman or Captain America. I could care less about either one of them. The Dark Knight, Jonah Hex, good movie, actually, with Josh Brolin as the lead. As we all know, Josh Brolin has gone over to the good side of movies, Marvel, and stars there now. But he did play Jonah Hex, which is a very interesting movie. based off of a very interesting character that DC created. Now, their comic books are good, to a certain point. Um, and the one thing I never really liked was all the Lego crap that they started producing for all of the DC films. Now, they've got great comic book adaptation cartoons, animations. They blow Marvel out of the water there, except for the X-Men stuff. Let's see here. Green Lantern, again, starring who? Ryan Reynolds. It was a decent movie, but it wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. And they've since asked Ryan Reynolds to come back and reprise his role as the Green Lantern. And he has told them not only no, but fuck no. I'm not going to do it. Dark Knight Rises, The Man of Steel, the Lego movie, Batman versus Superman, horrible, horrible movie. Ben Affleck as Batman, terrible. Suicide Squad, discombobulation of a movie at best. Good actors in it. Margot Robbie as Harley, but when it comes down to it, just a bad movie. Lego Batman spinoff Wonder Woman was decent. Justice League Part 1, the only good version of that was the Snyder Cut. And I know everybody laughs about the Snyder Cut because it's 4+ hours long and it's black and white and yada, yada, yada. The Flash. See, he doesn't even have the Flash TV show in here. He doesn't have there's two different versions of the Flash TV show. He's just got the new Flash that bombed because of the main actor that got himself in trouble. Whatever the hell his name is, I don't even know. Again, I'm not a Flash fan either. Ooh, I got super speed. Woo! Let me run around. Woo! No, that's a stupid power. I'm probably gonna get a ding for that. Whatever. Untitled Lego movie doesn't give a year. Aquaman, terrible. Either one of them. Number one, Aquaman didn't look like Jason Momoa ever except one time, and that was drawn by Jia Lee, that he ever looked like that. And Aquaman was a scrawny blonde-haired dude. Okay, athletic build at best. He wasn't a bodybuilder. All that good stuff. He swims with fishes, folks. Come on. You know what swimmers look like. And that's what Aquaman looked like. He looked like a swimmer. Okay? All right. Shazam. That one was a fun, campy little movie. So they got that one right. Because Shazam was a awkward comic book. Justice League Part 2, Cyborg, Green Lantern Corps, Arrow from the TV series off of CW, The Flash, Rebirth, Gotham. That was decent. I liked Gotham on the CW. That one was good, showing Bruce as a child growing up, learning to come into his own as far as who he wants to be. Do you want to be Batman? Do you want to be Bruce Wayne? You know, showing all of the interactions that he did get into with Catwoman as a young age. So that one was good. Constantine, a TV show. I'm gonna have to check into that one. Vixen, Supergirl, Legend of Tomorrow, Lucifer, and of course we know there's a lot more since then because this was 12 years old. And then his others, as he labels it. And see, he doesn't even have The Road to Perdition in here, which is a gangster movie based off of a comic book movie, or comic book. Hellboy, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, Dread, two different ones, Spawn, RoboCop. I mean, RoboCop's not even on here. Sin City, The Customer is Always Right, The Hard Goodbye. That's what they're based off of. Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Watchmen, V for Vendetta, great movies. All these right here. Spawn, Dread, even with all these others that he's listing are great movies because they're not made by Marvel or DC. Now, Hellboy was a little campy, the first one. And then the Golden Army got a little better. And then, of course, they switched over to Jason Harbour later on to another Hellboy movie, which I don't even know if he's got on here. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, another great film based off a comic book. From Hell, awesome movie. I love that one. 300, 300 Rise of an Empire, Wanted, Kick Ass 1 and 2, Kingsman, The Secret Service, and then we know all the Kingsman spin offs. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which you guys should see. Have seen most of these. Let's see here. Ghost World, A History of Violence, great movie. Bulletproof Monk, another good one. Hercules, Men in Black, the film series, The Walking Dead, and iZombie. Now, this is not a 100% complete list of all of them because, again, this was 12 years old. Now, I just didn't like the way IMDb put theirs out there. They should have just put it in chronological order of when the first comic book movie, because see, the Phantom wasn't even on the guy's list back in 96. The Shadow, 94. The Last Action Hero, 93. The Rocketeer in 91. Darkman, Dick Tracy. Let's see here. Bum, 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 bum. I'm trying to see some that he didn't put in there. The Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon from 08 to 09. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't even make the list. That definitely isn't going to make the list. That was a shit movie, period. The whole series was shit. Of course, Wonder Woman, the TV series from 75 to 79. Super Friends, the Marvel superheroes. Superboy. I don't think the Smurfs actually started as a comic book, though. The Incredible Hulk TV show. Captain America from 44, which we already talked about. Yeah, 1986 was when Howard the Duck came out. Doctor Strange, 1978. The Incredible Hulk movie in 77. The Bride of the Incredible Hulk in 1980. The Death of the Incredible Hulk. I mean, Smallville, Birds of Prey, Lois and Clark. So yeah, his list kind of sucks. And that's still not all of them. That's just made a 101 list right there. And that's still not all. And this is IMDb. That is a movie spot, you know. So they don't even have a comprehensive list of everything, um, which is kind of sad, being that they are, So I would like to find a comprehensive list of all of that, um, because most of these are way old, like 2009 or when was this one done? Because see, they say every comic movie in chronological order, but they start with the Black Panther. Get real, come on. Okay, this one is a little bit better. I should have just started with this one. Starts in 1937 with The Shadow Strikes. And then it just goes from there. So 1937 is when the first superhero movie arrived on scene. And I still don't think it's a complete comprehensive list. Um, but they do have a lot more on here than the previous list because they include Flash Gordon, which started out as a pulp and then went to a comic book and then became movies and serials. Like I said, I want to see when his list ends, actually. So far, so good. He's got pretty much everything in here. Okay, he's got all the way to 2026 on here. So this is a great list. Maybe we'll go through it one of these days. And someone schooled this guy. Well, we don't talk about here. Since Casey's not here to do it, Roy, it's your cue. And so that one's a good list because it does have everything that the other person missed right there. And there's a lot of stuff in here that I didn't even know about because, of course, it was Italian films or things like that based off of, you know, comics around the world. No Pope, no Trump. We don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion here because once you do that, people start losing their damn minds. And there's other channels for that you can go find. So let's just take 2026 Avengers Doomsday coming out, Clayface, Masters of the Universe, which is already out. Then you've got Spider Man, The Brand New Day, which is out right now, making big waves. And then Supergirl, which bombed already at the box office. And then the Super Mario Galaxy movie will be coming out sometime this year as well. The Old Guard, that was a great one. One and two. That was a great one. So there you go. And when it comes to comic book movies, they're never going to stop. Now, are they going to get them right every time? Absolutely not. Just because they they rush a lot of the films sometimes. I'm hoping Avengers Doomsday is good, but I've got mixed feelings about it. Just because Robert Downey Jr. playing Doomsday. That's one of my big holdups when it comes to that. Just because it's not that I'm not a Downey Jr. fan. I've been a fan of his for a long time, even before he got messed up on the, the stuff, if you will. And he, in some ways, I wish they would have came up with a different actor to play Doomsday. I'm not saying he's not going to do a great job because he does a great job in any role he's in, and always has. He's a great actor. But I understand the multiverse. I understand yada yada yada. But we couldn't have found a different actor to play Doomsday. I mean, really? And it's like that's where they try too hard sometimes. Oh well, we can portray him as something else since his character is no longer viable. alive, if you will. Meaning, Tony Stark, Iron Man, is no more. And it's like, why bring him back as something else? It's like in Avengers Doomsday, they're supposedly bringing back, of course, Captain America. But there's a lot on here that, as I'm just looking at, didn't make the list of anybody else's. And of course, they of course it was 12 years old as well. So this one would have been the one to find. And again, that's me not doing my research before I started my show. So this one is getting bookmarked, and we will go over this list another day. But it is a good comprehensive list, starting with 1937 with the Shadow Strikes, going into all of the comic book films throughout history. Because 37, 38, and 45, of course, they don't have the serials in there either. Because there was a lot of serials in there as well that they don't have. Unless that's what they're meaning by the C's. I gotta see what this is. Oh, no. No. They don't have that. They don't have the serials in here. Because I know in the 30s and the 40s there was serials. Why do I know that? Because I own them. You know. And I own the Batman, not Superman. Never Superman. I own the Batman serials on DVD. So yeah, no, they missed a lot even on their list, which is sad. That it's a great list, and it's got stuff that I didn't even see that were like from the UK and Japan and Britain and other things like that. So there you go. All right, guys, I got artwork to do. Kicking off into getting this cover all colored up pretty soon. The God of War piece is coming along quite nicely. I got painting that's got some paint drying right now. That's why I'm working on some other things. And then I've got three more going in the process as well. So life is good. Life is great. And that is it for today. And as I like to say as I leave you guys, until next time, help you if you love them, especially your close circle, because tomorrow is not promised. And as I like to say as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side.